Your heart has been beating for decades without pause, but after age 60, certain foods can silently damage it more than you realize. Some of the most common foods seniors eat every day are among the worst offenders. What you choose to eat now could determine whether your heart continues to function well or begins to fail. This video is for information purposes only. It is not medical advice. For any health concerns, please consult a qualified doctor. Let us talk about why heart health becomes critically important as we age and how specific foods directly threaten it. As a doctor, I see many seniors who are unaware that their dietary choices are causing significant harm to their cardiovascular system. The aging heart undergoes natural changes that make it more vulnerable to damage. Blood vessels become stiffer, the heart muscle may weaken slightly, and the body processes nutrients differently than it did in younger years. This means foods that were once tolerable can now become dangerous. The first food that poses serious risks to senior heart health is processed meat. This includes items like bacon, sausages, hot dogs, deli meats, and cured meats. These products contain extremely high levels of sodium and preservatives called nitrates and nitrites. Sodium causes the body to retain excess fluid, which increases blood volume and forces the heart to work harder to pump blood throughout the system. For seniors whose hearts may already be working at reduced efficiency, this additional burden can be devastating. A single serving of processed meat can contain more than half the recommended daily sodium intake. When consumed regularly, processed meats significantly raise blood pressure, which is already a common problem in older adults. High blood pressure damages the arterial walls, making them less flexible and more prone to plaque buildup. This process, called atherosclerosis, narrows the arteries and restricts blood flow to vital organs, including the heart itself. The nitrates and nitrites used as preservatives in processed meats are converted in the body into compounds that can damage the endothelium, which is the inner lining of blood vessels. This damage initiates inflammatory responses that accelerate cardiovascular disease. Research has consistently shown that people who consume processed meats regularly have significantly higher rates of heart disease, heart attacks, and stroke. For seniors whose bodies are less able to repair this damage, the risks are even greater. The saturated fat content in processed meats also contributes to elevated cholesterol levels. As we age, our metabolism slows down, and our bodies become less efficient at clearing cholesterol from the bloodstream. This leads to increased accumulation of low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, commonly known as bad cholesterol, which deposits in arterial walls and forms dangerous plaques. These plaques can rupture, causing blood clots that trigger heart attacks or strokes. The second dangerous food for senior heart health is deep-fried foods. Items like fried chicken, French fries, fried fish, donuts, and other foods cooked in hot oil pose multiple cardiovascular threats. The frying process transforms relatively healthy foods into vessels for excessive calories, unhealthy fats, and harmful compounds. When oils are heated to high temperatures repeatedly, they undergo chemical changes that produce trans fats, even if the original oil was healthy. Trans fats are the most dangerous type of dietary fat for heart health. They raise bad cholesterol levels while simultaneously lowering good cholesterol, which normally helps protect against heart disease. This double effect makes trans fats particularly harmful. The body has difficulty processing trans fats, and they accumulate in arterial walls, promoting inflammation and plaque formation. Deep-fried foods are also extremely calorie-dense. A single serving can contain several hundred calories, most of which come from fat. For seniors who may be less physically active, these excess calories lead to weight gain. Obesity is a major risk factor for heart disease because it increases the workload on the heart, raises blood pressure, contributes to diabetes, and promotes chronic inflammation throughout the body. The inflammatory state associated with obesity damages blood vessels and accelerates atherosclerosis. When foods are fried at high temperatures, harmful compounds called advanced glycation end products are formed. These molecules cause oxidative stress and inflammation in the cardiovascular system. They damage the cells lining blood vessels and impair the ability of arteries to dilate properly, which is essential for healthy blood flow. This endothelial dysfunction is a key early step in the development of heart disease. The oils used in deep frying also matter significantly. Many commercial establishments use partially hydrogenated oils or reuse cooking oils multiple times, which increases the formation of harmful compounds. Even when healthier oils are used initially, the repeated heating process degrades them into substances that harm cardiovascular health. Seniors who frequently consume deep-fried foods face substantially increased risks of heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure. The third problematic food category is sugary beverages and foods with added sugars. This includes sodas, sweetened teas, energy drinks, fruit juices with added sugar, pastries, cakes, cookies, and candy. Excessive sugar consumption has profound effects on heart health through multiple mechanisms. When you consume large amounts of sugar, your blood glucose levels spike rapidly. The body responds by releasing insulin to move glucose into cells. Over time, frequent spikes in blood sugar and insulin lead to insulin resistance, where cells become less responsive to insulin. This condition forces the pancreas to produce even more insulin, creating a harmful cycle that often progresses to type 2 diabetes. Diabetes is one of the strongest risk factors for heart disease. It damages blood vessels throughout the body, accelerates atherosclerosis, and significantly increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Seniors with diabetes have 2 to 4 times the risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those without diabetes. High blood sugar levels cause glycation, a process where sugar molecules attach to proteins in the blood and vessel walls. These glycated proteins, called advanced glycation end products, trigger inflammation and oxidative stress. They make arterial walls stiffer and less able to respond to changes in blood flow demands. This arterial stiffness is particularly problematic for seniors because it raises systolic blood pressure and increases the workload on the heart. Excessive sugar consumption also directly affects the liver, which converts excess sugar into triglycerides. High triglyceride levels are associated with increased cardiovascular risk. Triglycerides contribute to the formation of small, dense particles of bad cholesterol that are especially likely to penetrate arterial walls and form plaques. Sugar consumption promotes weight gain and obesity, particularly dangerous visceral fat that accumulates around internal organs. This type of fat is metabolically active, releasing inflammatory molecules that damage the cardiovascular system. Research has shown that people who get 25% or more of their calories from added sugars have nearly 3 times the risk of dying from heart disease compared to those who consume less than 10% of calories from added sugars. The fourth food that threatens senior heart health is refined grains and white flour products. This category includes white bread, white rice, regular pasta, crackers, most breakfast cereals, and baked goods made with refined flour. During the refining process, grains are stripped of their fiber, rich outer layers, and nutrient-dense germ, leaving only the starchy endosperm. This removes most of the beneficial nutrients and all of the fiber. The resulting refined grain products are rapidly digested and cause quick spikes in blood sugar, similar to the effects of pure sugar. This triggers the same harmful insulin responses and contributes to insulin resistance and diabetes. Fiber plays a crucial role in heart health that becomes even more important with age. Soluble fiber helps lower cholesterol levels by binding to cholesterol in the digestive system and removing it from the body. Without adequate fiber, more dietary cholesterol is absorbed into the bloodstream, raising blood cholesterol levels. Fiber also helps slow the absorption of sugars, preventing the rapid blood glucose spikes that damage blood vessels. The high glycemic index of refined grains means they cause rapid and large increases in blood sugar. Over time, these repeated spikes damage the endothelial cells lining blood vessels and promote chronic inflammation. Inflammation is a key driver of atherosclerosis and heart disease. Refined grain consumption is associated with increased levels of inflammatory markers in the blood, which predict higher cardiovascular risk. Studies have demonstrated that people who consume the most refined grains have significantly higher rates of heart disease, stroke, and premature death compared to those who primarily eat whole grains. The fifth dangerous food for senior heart health is full-fat dairy products high in saturated fat. This includes whole milk, regular cheese, butter, cream, ice cream, and full-fat yogurt. These products contain significant amounts of saturated fat, which raises levels of bad cholesterol in the blood. The mechanism involves saturated fat affecting how the liver processes and removes cholesterol. When you consume saturated fat, it reduces the number and effectiveness of receptors on liver cells that remove bad cholesterol from the bloodstream. This causes cholesterol to accumulate in the blood, where it can deposit in arterial walls. For seniors whose liver function may already be declining with age, this effect is more pronounced. The body becomes less efficient at clearing cholesterol, making dietary saturated fat more impactful on blood cholesterol levels. High cholesterol is one of the primary risk factors for atherosclerosis, the process where plaques build up inside arteries. These plaques narrow the arteries, reducing blood flow to the heart and other organs. Full-fat dairy products are also calorie-dense, contributing to weight gain if consumed in excess. The combination of high saturated fat and excess calories creates a particularly unfavorable profile for heart health. Some types of cheese can contain extremely high amounts of sodium in addition to saturated fat, creating a double threat to cardiovascular health. The sodium raises blood pressure, while the saturated fat raises cholesterol. The sixth food that poses serious cardiovascular risks for seniors is commercially baked goods and packaged snacks. This broad category includes cookies, cakes, pastries, muffins, donuts, chips, crackers, and similar products. These foods combine multiple heart-threatening components in a single package. They typically contain refined flour, added sugars, unhealthy fats, and high sodium levels, creating a perfect storm for cardiovascular damage. Many commercially baked goods are made with partially hydrogenated oils to extend shelf life and improve texture. These oils contain trans fats, which are the most harmful fats for heart health. The combination of refined flour and added sugar creates rapid blood glucose spikes that promote insulin resistance and inflammation. The unhealthy fats raise bad cholesterol and lower good cholesterol. Commercially baked goods are also extremely palatable due to their combination of sugar, fat, and salt. This palatability can lead to overconsumption and difficulty controlling portion sizes, particularly problematic for seniors who may have reduced sensitivity to satiety signals. Regular consumption of commercially baked goods and packaged snacks is strongly associated with obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and heart disease. For seniors, these risks are magnified by age-related changes in metabolism and cardiovascular function. The seventh and final food category, particularly harmful to senior heart health, is foods very high in sodium beyond processed meats. This includes canned soups, frozen dinners, pizza, instant noodles, condiments like soy sauce and ketchup, and many restaurant meals. Sodium is essential for body function, but the amount needed is much less than what most people consume. The recommended sodium intake for adults is no more than 2,300 milligrams per day. However, the average sodium intake far exceeds these recommendations, primarily due to processed and restaurant foods. A single serving of canned soup can contain more than the entire daily recommended amount of sodium. Excess sodium has profound effects on the cardiovascular system. When sodium levels in the blood are high, the body retains water to dilute the sodium concentration. This increases total blood volume, which raises blood pressure. High blood pressure forces the heart to work harder with every beat. Over months and years, this increased workload causes the heart muscle to thicken and become less efficient. The sustained high pressure also damages arterial walls, making them stiff and prone to injury. This damage accelerates atherosclerosis and increases the risk of serious complications. Now that we have discussed these 7 categories of foods that are particularly harmful to senior heart health, it is important to understand why these dietary factors become more critical with age. The aging process affects the cardiovascular system in multiple ways that increase vulnerability to dietary damage. Arterial walls naturally become less elastic, a process called arterial stiffening. This stiffening reduces the ability of arteries to expand and contract with each heartbeat. Stiff arteries lead to increased systolic blood pressure, the top number in a blood pressure reading. The heart muscle itself may undergo changes with age, sometimes becoming slightly thicker or less efficient. These changes reduce the heart's reserve capacity to respond to stress or increased demands. Metabolic changes also play a significant role. The efficiency of glucose and fat metabolism decreases with age, making seniors more susceptible to the harmful effects of sugar and unhealthy fats. These age-related changes mean that dietary choices that might have been tolerable in earlier decades become genuinely dangerous in senior years. The margin for error becomes smaller, and the consequences of poor choices become more severe. The good news is that dietary changes can have rapid and substantial benefits for heart health, even in older adults. Studies have shown that seniors who adopt heart-healthy eating patterns experience measurable improvements in blood pressure and cholesterol. A heart-healthy diet for seniors should emphasize vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, fish, and lean poultry. These foods provide essential nutrients, fiber, healthy fats, and protective compounds that support cardiovascular health. Practical strategies include meal planning, reading nutrition labels, cooking at home more frequently, and staying hydrated with water instead of sugary beverages. Making informed food choices based on understanding these principles empowers you to take control of your heart health. Every meal is an opportunity to either support or harm your cardiovascular health. The 7 categories of foods discussed today are the primary dietary threats to senior heart health. By limiting or eliminating these foods and replacing them with heart-healthy alternatives, seniors can significantly reduce their risk of heart disease. Remember that heart disease is largely preventable through lifestyle choices, with diet playing a central role. Your heart has served you faithfully for decades and deserves your attention and care now more than ever. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more videos like this.